Good evening, and today's Ace King. So the hand folds to me. I am in mid position, technically mid position. These two would be mid position. These two would be early position, and basically default to my basic opening range. We have relative unknown behind me. We have relative unknown in the cutoff. We have a tight passive, 2,000 hands, very tight, 16%, and then 3% pre-flop raise. He's on the button. His call 2-bet stats only 15%, so I don't think we really need to worry a whole lot about him coming along unless he has a big hand. We have this tight aggressive player in the big blind, but I'm not too worried about it because if he 3-bets me, he's going to be out of position. So I do open up and raise. It folds around to villain 4, who does 3-bet. Now, what kind of 3-bets is he doing? His 3-bet by position big blind is 2 out of 20. This isn't a typical steal position, so when we look at 3-bet steal at 17%, I wouldn't consider this a 3-bet steal. So I think this player is probably going to have somewhat of a decent hand. I believe I took a note on what he's doing this with. So we can see from the big blind, he cold calls 2-bet, 6 out of 20. Fold. 3-bet steal, you can see 3 out of 13. I'm not any of those, so I think he's going to have a decent hand. He's 3-betting here. So I think we're going to be looking at something maybe like this. Maybe ace queen, could have jacks. It's just kind of an unknown as to what he's going to be playing as a 3-bet from the big blind. So it's back on me, and now we have to decide what are we going to do. So we're kind of early position, facing the blinds. I would definitely 4-bet with kings plus. I think that would probably be my default play. This player's a bit of an unknown, so those are going to be the hands that I would 3-bet. Now we have position on this player, so we can play a little bit wider range, but again, he's a relative unknown. We don't know what he's doing this with, and if he's paid attention to me, out of 45 hands, I've only played 13% of them, so I'm pretty tight to begin with. I think when we look at of the hands that I was playing, and what hands I'm going to call, I think this is my calling range. So 4-bet was kings plus, and then I have these hands, which are going to be pretty strong. Having the aces makes it less likely that we're up against aces or kings. All right. Having a king queen makes it less likely that we're up against kings and ace king. But we are going to be a little bit cautious. So I did call, and then we're going to go to a flop. So first up, here's my range. 58 combos. Their pre-flop range, 3.32%, 44 combos. And we see a flop of queen of diamonds, 5 of clubs, 2 of hearts. Relatively harmless. Now on this board, it's kind of a rough board because I think it could hit him. He could have ace queen. He could have possibly king queen. We have ace king, ace queen in our range. We have king queen in our range. And you can see from the equities that he is definitely going to have the equity edge on us because we have more hands that don't really hit this board. And he's at a pretty tight range here. So just looking at this, he could have trips, he can have the overpair, he can have top pair, and then you're looking at ace king, which we would basically split with, and jacks that is currently ahead of us. So he checks, which I think is a bit interesting, because I would have expected quite a few hands to bet here. So like I think I'd expect the sets to check. I expect the overpairs to bet. I expect the top pairs to check. Ace queen, because kind of from his view, we're looking at yeah, it could be up against aces or kings, but he's got top pair. But okay, we have to think about our opponents. He's loose aggressive. Sets could bet, overpair could bet. I think sets. I don't know. For me, I think I'm checking. I'm checking a lot. I do think pocket pair below the top card is going to be checking. So we're going to say he bets top pair. He bets pocket pair below the top card. And that's about it. And now it's on us. And once he checked, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, if he checks, if we have a set, hey, that's great. I think I'd check behind the set. If he has aces or kings, we could lose it all. But if he doesn't have anything, he's not calling. So I think we're gonna risk the free card. I do think we're gonna check behind with top pair. We're gonna try to encourage him to bet, but I do think we're gonna bet pocket pair below the top card. So I do bet that. So that's my value hand. And now we have to figure out what is going to be our bluff hand. Well, our bluff hand is going to be this no-mate hand, which is basically ace king and ace jack. So when we do this, we're betting, half pot. We're offering 25%. Does he call? Yeah, I do. I think he's going to call, because I don't think he really has anything, not to call. So I think planning this ahead, we probably need to consider firing out a double barrel. So bet the turn on a low turn. Is it possible that he could fold jacks? Yeah, possibly. But he also, I think that's to get the jacks to fold, it's going to take 2 barrels. So he did call, and we're going to say he calls with that. We made this play. And right now, I mean, based on this analysis, I'm starting to think I should have just checked 100% of my range here. I don't really have a betting range, because I think with the betting range, he's going to be calling way too much based on his tight pre-flop range. So I'm, right now, I don't like this bet. I don't like this bet. So they've got 22.5% with 9 combos. 10 of spades. And that should be a pretty good card, because, I mean, do we really think he's going to be raising with, with like ace 10, king 10, jack 10? Not really. So he checks, and I think this would have been, with how I played it, I think this would have been a great time to go ahead and bet. So range's equity is 27.4 versus 72.6. So I think this is a great hand to continue betting. And I tell you why. It's because we've picked up some equity. We've picked up the gut shots, with the ace king and the ace jack. We could still bet our sets. We can still bet our jacks. How did I get 10s in there? Oh, wait. Yeah, because we were betting jacks and 10s. So I think this is a great time to bet. I didn't, which I think really hurts my range. So would it make sense for me to bet the set? Yeah, it does. does it make sense for me to bet a pocket pair less than the top card? I do think at this point we're turning listen to our bluff. And that's where the gut shots, I think, come into play. So we bet the gut shots. And maybe not all of them. I think if we think about it, so set is for value. I think pocket pair below the top card. You can see it's like 89 versus 10. So I think with our gut shots, we have to be a little bit careful as to what we're going to be betting. Maybe we just do our overcards, or maybe we just say we pick let's take that out. Yeah, still too much. Maybe we do, ace king suited, ace jack suited, or maybe just ace king suited as we bet here. Although I kind of like ace jack, betting that because it allows him to have ace king, which I think could play like this. Check and then call because he doesn't believe that we have it. So now we bet and we get him to fold. So I think that's kind of like my betting range, but I checked. So let's do this. Let's say we checked with those. And yeah, those, and we're going to check our jacks so we can still have a pair. So let's check with that. Again, you can see that my range is definitely just tanked. So the combos that we have is 22 combos. Their turn range is still 100% of their previous range. So they've got 9 combos. And then we see ace of spades. And I think now, had we been betting, had we fired a turn bet, I think we'd check. If he leads, I think we just have to be done with it, but I think we check behind. So, he checks, and question is, what hands is he going to check with? I do think 2 pairs is going to bet, so that kind of leaves just this pocket pair below the second card is going to be my guess. And then for us, with how we played it, I think we just check behind. I think he's going to give up on all his busted draws. I think if we bet, it gives him a reason to fold jacks. So he shows queens, which, when we talked about betting, that was kind of like the question mark. Is he going to bet? It makes sense to check because you have all the top cards. So if he checks and we bet, then I think on the turn he's going to check again. And that's kind of why I think that's a good card. We can bet again. If he check raises, we just fold because he reveals his hand. But if he calls again and then we catch, our gut shot, hey, he's gonna pay out. We're gonna get the stack. So I don't like how I played this, just flat out. I think we took a note that he 3-bet range. Let's put it here. So 3-bet MPs RFI with queen from big blind. Checked queen 5-2 rainbow flop. Check call. So at least we know that when he flops trips, he's capable of checking. So if he checks that, I bet he also checks his overpair then on the flop. Oops. It's this. If he checks that, then I bet he checks his overpair and probably his top pair. Probably betting pocket pair below the top card and all the rest. So we do that. Then the 10 of spades comes out. And I think he would have called with all of those. And then I think he's going to check all of them. and then ace of spades get there, and you can see 42% or 43% sets, 15% two pair. Kings at 43%. He's going to be a pretty strong hand. So, all right, mess this up. Maybe you learn something from it, maybe you don't. But if you like this, look tomorrow for another hand.